This morning, the search is on for the suspect in a shooting at Mall St. Matthews. Police still trying to figure out what led up to the shots being fired. No update yet on the ongoing investigation into horse deaths at Churchill Downs. What we could learn about today. And the fallout from a cyber event that impacted the network at Norton Hospital continues. One man saying he's been waiting on a critical procedure only to have it canceled. The latest statement from the company. It's all coming up this morning on Sunrise.
This is Wave News Sunrise.
And good morning to you. June 1st. Look at that beautiful sunrise.
So nice.
Gorgeous. Yes. I'm Shannon Kogan alongside meteorologist Jessica Dobson, who is in for Tawana. And this is when we kind of start that long stretch of the really hot temps.
Yes. And this weekend is going to be no exception. I mean, we're talking above average, mid-90s. So you might want to take a dive into that very brisk pool water this weekend because
it's going to be hot water, though.
Yeah, I know, right? It needs to warm up because, I mean, after this past week, I heard from so many people, my niece, my nephews, they were like, that pool water was so cold, but they're kids. They don't really care too much, right? As long as it's pool water, right? But as we head throughout the next 12 hours, let's talk about what we're going to be expecting today. Just a couple of stray isolated downpours will be possible. Some of these could have some thunder and lightning with them. So just stay weather aware this afternoon. This is not going to be widespread by any means. I mean, we're talking a 10 to 20% chance. It will have to bring a couple of clouds around. Temperatures, though, will still soar well into the upper 80s through this afternoon. And so if you are heading out today, I would still maybe keep the umbrella tucked away in your car, maybe the rain jacket nearby, something with a hood just in case you're caught underneath one of those downpours. But you'll definitely want the sunglasses, the sunscreen, and of course the Wave Weather app is always a good tool on a day like this. When we have a couple of these isolated downpours, there is a free radar to use. I use it even on my days off, so if I use it, I think that's a great tool for you to use at home too. But we'll see about a 20% chance during the peak heating of this afternoon. It is not going to be a washout. In fact, we're on this drying trend that will help us in terms of our heat this weekend, going to heat us up fast. I'll talk more on just how hot we get, along with how long this heat wave is set to last. It's all coming up in my full forecast in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Jessica. We're continuing to follow breaking news this morning. One man is dead in a shooting that happened early this morning in downtown Louisville, and police are still looking for the person who may have pulled the trigger. Kathleen Ninke joining us with more on this Wave News Alert.
Shannon, about 4:30 this morning, LMPD went out to a report of a shooting on First at Jacob, right downtown by JCTC. You're looking live at the scene. You can also see there's a homeless encampment nearby. Officers got there and found a man shot. Minutes later, he was pronounced dead. LMPD tells us they don't have any suspects identified at this point. So if you know anything, you can call LMPD and give them a tip anonymously or use their online portal to do the same thing. Shannon.
Thanks, Kathleen. The shooter in yesterday's Mall St. Matthews shooting still on the loose this morning. St. Matthews police believe it was an isolated incident, but they're still working to find that suspect. Josh Ninke taking a closer look at what you need to know today if you're heading to the mall.
So, Shannon, the mall had a message on their website yesterday saying that they were going to be closed for the rest of the day. That message is gone now, but it doesn't say anything about being closed today. So we talked to police who told us that this was a fight between two groups of people. It reportedly started around 3:45 yesterday afternoon. Someone from one of those groups was shot in the arm and is recovering at the hospital right now. At this point, police have cleared out from the mall and they're continuing the search for anyone involved. St. Matthews police chief doesn't think that you need to be worried, though.
I think this is a totally isolated situation, unfortunately, that took place inside the mall where others were.
St. Matthews PD teamed up with Louisville Metro Police for this investigation as well. Mall St. Matthews has a no weapons policy, but clearly that was ignored yesterday. Live in the studio, Josh Ninke, Wave News.
Thank you, Josh. We now know the name of the man whose body was pulled from the Ohio River. His family identified him as local attorney Jim Ballinger. Police found his body near Captain's Quarters Tuesday night. We're waiting for investigators to tell us more about how he fell into the water. Ballinger helped inmates sue the Metro Corrections for false imprisonment and unlawful detainment claims in 2017. He was 57 years old. This morning, police are trying to determine who shot another person in Bardstown. The shooting happened Wednesday morning near Ashbury Drive. The victim was taken to U of L Hospital and is expected to survive. Police did not say what led to the gunfire, but they say it was not a domestic situation and there's no danger to the public. No description of the suspect's been released. A neighbor describes what he saw.
Then as I looked up to go back toward my apartment, I looked over there and there was a silver car parked there, and a guy must have got shot and was laying in the yard over there.
He says the man had blood on his chest and shoulder, and two people ran away from the scene from a car that appears to be involved. If you know anything about this, you're asked to call Bardstown Police. Prosecutors are recommending a 50-year sentence for a Bullitt County man who pleaded guilty in connection to the death of his girlfriend's 4-year-old daughter. Dakota Hill admitted to the charge of murdering Serenity McKinney. Serenity's body was found in a wooded area along the Jefferson-Bullitt County line last year. Hill was dating Serenity's mother, Catherine McKinney, at the time. Serenity's grandmother says she will never get over the loss.
She was 4 years old. She was a little girl. What could she have possibly done to deserve any of this? I'll never understand. I don't think anybody will ever understand.
Serenity's mother also took a plea deal in the case. She was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Hill will be sentenced in July. 2 days of studying and testing, still no answers. The Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority, or HISA, hopes to make recommendations about how to protect horses and Churchill Downs today. The authority says it began its independent evaluation at Churchill Downs. The agency is working with the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission and Churchill Downs veterinarians to make safety recommendations after 12 horses have died at the track since the start of the spring meet. Racing at Churchill Downs returns this evening with Twilight Thursdays. Today is the last day of school for JCPS students, and some schools are kicking things off too with graduations. 33 JCPS schools will host graduation ceremonies this year. Almost 6,700 total grads. 3,000 of them got college credit too through advanced placement or dual credit courses. Ceremonies will take place throughout the county. The schools that are hosting ceremonies today are listed on your screen. For information about other school ceremonies and times, just go to this story on wave3.com. A Southern Indiana man says the cyber disruption at Norton Healthcare is preventing him from getting life-saving surgery. Tony Young was preparing for heart valve replacement surgery when the cyber event hit the hospital network earlier this month. He had 2 out of 3 necessary surgeries, but the last was still on the books. He says the computer problems the hospital was dealing with led to his appointment getting canceled.
This is my heart. You can't not use it. You can't slow it down. You can speed it up, but you can't slow it down. It has to beat so much, and so much blood has to pump through, and mine's restricted. And I don't know how long it will last. I don't know if it will last. I don't know if I'll get up out of this couch and drop dead.
Norton Healthcare released a statement last night. It says, our goal is to reschedule certain procedures in the near future. Any urgent and emergency issues are being addressed, and we encourage patients to reach out to their provider as needed. Right now it is 6:07, and here's Jessica.
Yeah, today's going to be a hot day. It's going to be the first of the next several where we only go up from here. But even by about midday, we're expecting temperatures to be well into the upper 70s, even the low 80s by noon today. So 82, that's roughly where we should be for our average high for this time of year. But we'll see an afternoon high of 89 degrees with a couple of those afternoon, very isolated downpours that'll be possible through today. And that's a check of your forecast. I do want to give you a quick check of the roadways. So far, no immediate issues, but if you are traveling near downtown Louisville, we still do have that police activity reported on near I-65. That's going to be on the off ramps because of that scene that's taking place near First and Jacob Street. So just keep that in mind if you're traveling downtown. You could be seeing a couple of delays, especially if you're trying to get off an I-65 near the Broadway exit as well. Shannon.
Thanks, Jessica. Complaints keep pouring in about property maintenance in the Portland neighborhood. The ongoing efforts to try to change that coming up. Also, pizza and beer. They go together, right? Olivia Russell giving us a preview of Craft House Pizza's new location this morning.
This is Wave News Sunrise.
There is now another spot to grab pizza and beer at a locally owned restaurant. Craft House Pizza just opened a new location on Hurstbourne Parkway, and Olivia Russell is there this morning showing us what's on the menu. So did you try the pizza with the pickles? You love it?
I haven't had it yet, Shannon. I was actually going to bring it back so you can try it. I've had it before, though. Fantastic. You know I'm a pickle girl, but I also love beer. And we keep saying pizza and beer go hand in hand here. So I'm with Ellis. So tell us what kind of selection you all have here.
Right now we have 11 beers on tap here at the Westport location. We have pretty much everything you want, easy drinking, from our formula, which is our standard, our like flagship Pilsner. We have a half, which is the glass Hefe full, down to our Down by the River Red. We have a stout, our C4. So pretty much any type of beer you like, we're going to have it.
And you all have a special release right around the corner, right?
Yes, so probably today we're going to be bringing over a collaboration we did with our friends at the Louisville Ale Trail. It's called the Base Model Mild. It's an English mild ale that we have done with them in the past, so we decided to do again.
Okay, so we have craft pizza and craft beer here too. With it being this partnership, are you able to really, pair them perfectly with the pizza and the flavors of the beer?
Yes, we do a lot of testing when we're here.
Who has to do the testing?
Well, we all get together and do it ourselves. So, but yes, so right now, if the Pilsner obviously will go with pretty much anything. We have our the red ale is really good with like the barbecue chicken pizza. Our GT IPA is really good with just a plain pepperoni like Matt likes. Mm-hmm. So, we kind of put them all together and do some suggestions.
Okay, so you have those suggestions, but do you have a favorite? Because I feel like the head brewer has to have a favorite.
It depends on the season. Right now, my go-to is our Blondie and Clyde, which is our blonde ale. We run that on special for anybody that doesn't get into craft beer very often. It's kind of an easy drinking, gateway to get people into trying some craft beer.
There's the go-to. All right, so when can people find you all at this new location?
We're, like I said, we have 12 beers on tap here this afternoon. They can get them all here. And then we also have at the Preston Highway location 10 on tap. The Fern Creek location has 6 on tap, and J-Town has 8.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you so much for showing off your craft here and sharing this with us.
Thank you.
Reporting live in Louisville, Olivia Russell, Wave News.
Thank you, Olivia. I could sign up to be a taster, right?
Yeah, same. I volunteer as tribute.
I know.
I mean, any time of day, you name it, pizza is always good. Breakfast pizza, I mean, yeah, why not? They should add that to the menu if not already.
I know. I love pizza. One time I ate pizza and then I ran into the waitress and she said, I couldn't believe how much pizza you could eat.
Oh my gosh.
I kind of felt proud. I can't eat a lot of pizza.
Listen, I mean, that's a compliment to the chef, really, if you think about it. But today's forecast, it's going to be a day where maybe if you want to take dinner outside, you might be sweating a little bit. Maybe you don't get the grill out necessarily, but today is probably going to be one of the cooler days compared to the next several, if you believe that. So as we head throughout today, speaking of a high of 89 degrees, about a 20% chance of an isolated downpour. In fact, it's actually looking maybe even a little drier than 20%. So if you have plans today, don't be discouraged by the rain or the heat. It's still going to be a good day to be outside. It's just going to be a little on the warm side, and we're only going to warm up from here, and we'll talk about that weekend forecast in just a moment. But I do want to talk about the shower chances for today, because one of the reasons why we're not going to be seeing quite as widespread of shower and thunderstorm activities like what we saw yesterday is because dry air is continuing to filter in from our east, and that will really keep and kind of nudge these shower chances further off to our south and west, which is one of the reasons why most of these will be staying south of the river, and I would say south of the parkways even for most of the day. So it's actually been 10 days since our last measurable rainfall that's taken place at Louisville Muhammad Ali International. So at the Louisville Airport, it's been about 10 days. So if you've noticed the lawn turning a little brown, the trees turning a little brown too, your plants getting a little crispy, yeah, it's because we've been pretty dry in all honesty. We have not just had a decent soaking rain rain. Most of it's been pretty isolated and otherwise pretty light. But I will say through the next 3 days, that trend will continue. We're looking at temperatures in the mid-90s by our Saturday. So 92 tomorrow, 94 by Saturday, 91 by Sunday. So you get the idea. It's going to be a hot weekend, not terribly humid, which is good news, but it is still going to be just downright hot. You want to make sure you're wearing sunscreen and you're taking care of whatever you need to in terms of breaks, the elderly, your pets outside, because it's going to be a hot one this weekend. Let's go ahead and bring you outside, giving you this gorgeous live view of our sunrise from downtown Louisville. You can actually see a few of those, looks like some gnats flying around the camera too. It's the time of year. But in terms of our first 90-degree day, our earliest ever on record was actually April 10th, but usually we see that right around May 31st. So we're almost right on the money with seeing our first 90-degree day of the season. That will be taking place, of course, tomorrow, which is going to be June 2nd. So if you're not a fan of the heat, the humidity, the 90-degree temperatures, we are going to be seeing a bit of a cool down towards next week. And maybe by midweek, this cold front, it's going to try its best to make its way closer to the Ohio Valley and into wave country, bringing with it a couple of those shower chances. We'll be watching that closely, and I'll talk more on how cool we might get coming up in my full 10-day earliest alert in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Jessica. More than $1 million will go to help preserve some historic properties in Louisville. The city and Owsley Brown Family Foundation are giving the money to nonprofit Vital Site. The money will establish a loan fund to assist owners of historic properties to help them make repairs to stabilize and revitalize structures.
Projects can include less visible things like roofs or HVAC systems, or the more visible things everybody can see from the front, the windows, the doors, the cornice work, and all of these things. And when this gets done, this really can add a great value to the neighborhood.
The properties must be listed or eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places to get assistance. Complaints on property maintenance in the Portland neighborhood have been going on for years. If you go to 311 Short Street in the Portland neighborhood, this is what you'll find. Broken down cars, trash in the street. The people living nearby say it's an issue that's been going on for more than 6 years. And despite their complaints, the Portland Neighborhood Association says city agencies have failed to enforce city ordinances against the property owner.
That the city of Louisville redlines Portland. They don't care. It's Portland. That's the attitude we get. When we scream loud enough, we get people to come down here and do things. As the councilwoman said, that's over. They're going to do it every day, all day long, the right way down here.
And they're now asking as many people as possible to complain to the city until something gets done. It's 6:19, and this year the Kentucky legislature passed legislation regulating LGBTQ teens in schools, and now the ACLU is trying to help those impacted navigate their lives.
Here's a look at the current Kentucky Lottery jackpots. The Kentucky Lottery, over $4.4 billion in grants and scholarships.
The Kentucky ACLU and Fairness Campaign is teaming up to help members of the LGBTQ+ community adjust to a new state law. They're holding a series of town halls. They stopped in Louisville last night. The law bans gender-affirming care like reassignment surgery, puberty blockers, and hormone therapies for anyone under the age of 18. It also bans schools from discussing sexual orientation or gender identity with students of any age. The two organizations say they want to hear from families so they can file a future lawsuit to stop the part of law that deals with schools.
If things start changing for kids in Kentucky schools, we want to hear about it. And we want to be certain that the ACLU of Kentucky hears about it so that when the time is right, the lawsuit can be filed to challenge the portions of Senate Bill 150 that address education in the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
The ACLU already has a lawsuit challenging the portion of the law banning gender-affirming care for kids. Today, Louisville leaders will celebrate the start of Pride Month in the city. Mayor Craig Greenberg will be joined by representatives along with the Office of Equity, Fairness Campaign, and other community members at 10:30 this morning. They will raise their Pride and Progress flag to officially kick off the month. It'll be right outside of Metro Hall. So it is June 1st. Jessica's here taking us through the next 10 days.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a wild stretch with the heat on the way, and we're going to be expecting some nice pool weather for this weekend. And it's going to be kind of a weekend where you have to be by the pool if you're going to be outside, just because it's going to be so hot. We're looking at temperatures in the low to mid 90s, 94 degrees for our Saturday, 91 by Sunday, even for tomorrow, a high of 92 degrees. So it is the technical start to summer, meteorological summer at that. So Mother Nature is definitely taking note, and we'll stay dry through the majority of the weekend, even into most of our Monday, only a 10% chance of rain. And this will be a part of our next cold front. A cold front is going to do its best to make its way into wave country and into the Ohio Valley. It could bring our temperatures closer to the mid 80s, still above average for this time of year, but it will feel better than the low 90s. That could bring us the chance as well of some scattered showers, maybe a few thunderstorms. As of right now, best chance looks to arrive for our Tuesday, only a 30% chance at that, before we rebound right back into the upper 80s and low 90s, potentially by the end of next week. Shannon.
Thanks, Jessica. Former President Donald Trump is likely to have a few new opponents in the race for the Oval Office. His former running mate, Mike Pence, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie both announced their intentions to join the crowded Republican field for the 2024 presidential election. Pence expected to kick off his campaign with a video and speech in Des Moines, Iowa, June 7th. That's his 64th birthday, too. Sources say the former VP will campaign in all 99 Iowa counties before the caucuses. Pence and Chris Christie will also take on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former Governor of South Carolina Nikki Haley, and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is also rumored to jump into the race in the coming days. Federal regulators want to require automatic braking on all new passenger vehicles. The technology stops or slows down a moving vehicle when a hazard is detected. Many models already come with this, but they're not required at this point. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration wants to change that. They said the technology is now mature enough to be mandatory. They estimate that if this law goes into effect, it would save 360 lives per year. Toyota's first all-electric vehicle set to be assembled at Kentucky's Georgetown plant. An all-new SUV is set to go into production at the plant in 2025. The project follows an announcement to invest $461 million to upgrade the Georgetown facility and prepare the site for future electric vehicles. The shooter is still at large this morning after a person is shot at Mall St. Matthews. Coming up this morning, Wave News reporter Josh Ninke will have the latest on the investigation.
This is Wave News Sunrise.
Good morning at 6:30. What's that up there? That's Mookie the cat.
Oh my gosh.
This is in New Mexico. That cat was on top of the power pole for 15 hours. Look at that. So the owner tried to call someone from the power company to help, but they said it was going to take too long. So look at that. He rented a $500 lift.
Oh my gosh.
Got his cousin to help out. The cousin's an electrician, and then they rescued Mookie. Yay! Happy ending. Look at that sweet cat. 15 hours.
Yeah, and Siamese cats, my sister has one. They're known for being just so incredibly smart, but very stubborn. And they have just really interesting personalities, almost human-like. So it's really funny that he was just sitting up there, like,
just looking at
who's going to come get me. Yes. that's a very cat-like attitude. I love it.
Yeah, a little bit dangerous. So you're recommended not to do that at home, by the way.
That is why my cat's not allowed outside.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, look at this. It's going to be a gorgeous day today,
yes,
right?
A lot of sunshine today, but it is going to be hot, and today is going to be one of the first days of this warm-up that we see through the next couple of days. So it's not going to be the hottest of the next few days, but it's going to be up there. Right now, not so bad in the mid to upper 60s for most spots across the metro. Even the low 60s for a few spots like PRP and Shively. You're checking in at 62 degrees, 61 in Fairdale, 69 at the airport and into downtown Louisville at the Wave Weather Garden, 62 at Bowman Field, even 59 right now in Prospect. So you got to take advantage of the free air conditioning while it's here, because you'll want to save some money on that bill, because by this weekend it's going to be your air conditioning certainly going to be going. But I do want to also mention some of this visibility that we have a bit on the reduced side, down to less than a mile of visibility in E-Town, and we could see some patchy dense fog across a few places throughout this morning, but isn't expected to be too much of a problem. problem. I will say, though, the heat is going to be the big story not only today, but through the next several days. A high of 89 degrees. We do have a couple of isolated downpours that will bubble up during this afternoon. It is not going to be widespread, though, and it won't be a washout. We're looking at about a 10 to 20% chance of those showers. Most of them, I would say, staying south and west of the metro, more than likely across our southernmost counties. But I will be talking more on that big warm-up we have on the way for this weekend, when our next round of rain is going to arrive. That's all coming up in my full forecast in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Jessica. St. Matthews police are still looking for the person who opened fire inside Mall St. Matthews yesterday afternoon, but officials say they do not think anyone is in danger. Wave News reporter Josh Ninke joining us with more.
Hey, Shannon. Now, police have cleared out from the mall, but the investigation isn't over. And here's what we know about what happened. Police told us that this was a fight between two groups of people. It reportedly started around 3:45 yesterday afternoon. And someone from one of those groups was shot in the arm and is recovering at the hospital right now. And that's basically all we know. We don't even have an age of any of these people. The police are still working on their description from witnesses and cameras that were inside the mall.
We're still sorting through video as much as we can to try to figure out who all's involved and get better descriptions of the individuals we're looking for.
Police specifically told us there's no danger to the public at this point. They believe this was an isolated incident. As far as the mall goes, they were shut down all the way through last night. They had a message on their website telling folks about that closure. That message is gone, so it seems like they'll probably be back open today. We'll let you know if that changes. Live in the studio, Josh Ninke, Wave News.
Thank you, Josh. 3 children and an adult were shot in a drive-by shooting in Cincinnati. It happened about 4:30 Wednesday afternoon. One witness said there were at least 3 different scenes related to this. At least 50 evidence markers lined the street in one spot. Police say the shooting victims were 10, 14, 15, and a person in their 20s.
These were children walking down the street. That is unacceptable for somebody to think they could drive down the street, fire this many rounds, and just keep driving and think they're going to get away with it. They are not going to get away with this.
Police have not made any arrests, but they are looking for a black vehicle with tinted windows and what could be multiple suspects. The victims are being treated at 2 hospitals right now. They are all expected to survive. A Scott County, Kentucky sheriff's deputy killed in the line of duty will be laid to rest today. Deputy Caleb Conley's funeral is today at Scott County High School. He was shot and killed during a traffic stop on I-75 last week. He served with the sheriff's office for 4 years. Governor Andy Beshear ordered flags at all state buildings to be lowered to half staff today in his honor. A Southern Indiana deputy is in the hospital after a serious crash. Scott County Deputy Kenneth Black was flown to University Hospital after this crash. It happened at the intersection of 256 and Mann Avenue in Austin yesterday about 2:20. That's just north of the Austin Elementary School. Austin police are looking into what caused it. A man's in jail after a double shooting that happened in the Taylor-Berry neighborhood. 18-year-old Frank Henderson Jr. is facing assault and wanton endangerment charges. It happened on Utah Avenue about 2 weeks ago. Police say Henderson admitted to getting into a fight with his girlfriend's sister's mother and, quote, emptied his clip, firing at her. 2 men not related to the argument were shot. Both of them survived. The Kentucky Horse Racing Commission is now hiring employees to work in its wagering compliance department as it gets ready to oversee sports gambling. Governor Beshear says the workers will be advisors, analysts, auditors, and regulators. The commission's also working with other states and industry experts to find qualified candidates for this. Kentucky's horse racing tracks will be licensed to offer online and in-person betting, and the governor says he wants sports betting ready by the start of the NFL season. People in New Albany could soon be allowed to carry alcoholic beverages outside in downtown areas. Our partners at the News and Tribune report the New Albany City Council considering an ordinance to create what it calls a designated outdoor refreshment area. Indiana state lawmakers gave cities the power to establish such zones. The proposed area would encompass downtown and other nearby areas in New Albany. The drinks would be served in specific cups that could only be carried in the approved areas. Meteorologist Jessica Dobson here, taking you through the next 12 hours now.
Today is going to be a pretty good day to be outside and maybe take lunch or dinner outdoors. It's going to be on the hot side, so something to keep in mind. And this is likely going to be one of our last bus stop forecasts of the season. So temperatures today are going to be on the hot side. Make sure you're wearing the sunscreen, drinking the water. And we're looking at temperatures warming well into the upper 80s this afternoon with a couple of isolated downpours too. Most of these staying, though, to our south and west. We'll be back with more Wave News Sunrise coming up after this short break.
A locally owned pizza restaurant is expanding now to East Louisville. Craft House Pizza just opened their 5th location. It's located on Hurstbourne Parkway. A lot of different things on the menu. Olivia Russell is there giving us a look.
Hey, good morning, Shannon. Yeah, a lot of different options, a lot of different toppings too. I keep eyeing the pickle pizza over there. But I have Matt here with me again. I asked earlier, what style is this? Because people want to ask the style. Is it New York? Is it Chicago? But you gave me a great answer.
It's craft pizza. It's crafted to bring people together.
There we go. And you all make all these, like the dough, all this. It's a lot of fresh ingredients, right?
Yes, we get here early every single day. We make both crusts fresh every single morning. We cut our vegetables every single day. We cut cheese every single day. A lot goes into making a quality product.
Okay, so a lot of work that goes into the pizza, but I keep saying you've got to pair it with a nice beer. So I have Ellis over here. Any recommendations that you have, depending on what pizza you get?
Yes, so if you were, say, you get our Brewmaster Special, you probably want to go something with our Fox Body 5.0. It's a Munich lager. Our Pepper Q chicken would go well with our Blondie and Clyde, which is our blonde ale.
And you said there's one there. If you're not super familiar with craft beer, you have a recommendation for them, right?
Yes, our Blondie and Clyde, which our blonde ale, is an easy drinking, kind of a gateway to get people into drinking craft beers.
Okay, nice. Okay, so all of this put together here too, like I said, 5th location that's opening. What's it like to see this all come together?
It's amazing, honestly. It's been a journey to get this one open, but it's only the beginning. So
only the beginning. I like it. So I guess people need to come check it out, right? How and when can they do that?
We're located at 2813 North Hurstbourne, and we're open Sunday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and then Friday and Saturday 11 to 11.
Okay, and you all, I saw have some nice lunch specials. This is going to be really special for breakfast for me later. So thank you all so much for joining us this morning. And this is, yeah, who doesn't want pizza and beer at 7 in the morning? It's me right now. All right. Thank you all again. But for now, reporting live in Louisville, Olivia Russell, Wave News.
Olivia, I need you to bring some of that back to the station and share, please, especially the pickle pizza. It looks amazing. But we're going to be talking about this big warm-up on the way for this weekend. If you have weekend plans, listen up. I'll talk more on just how hot we get and also when we'll see our next round of rain. A cold front's on the way. I'll talk about when it arrives coming up in 30 seconds. Good morning and happy Thursday. Your time now is just a few seconds shy of 6:44, and we're off to a really beautiful start to our morning. Lots of sunshine. You'll need the sunglasses as you're stepping outside, and maybe you want to stow away the umbrella, the rain jacket in the car. Keep it in your bag. Just keep it handy because we'll see another day with a few pop-up showers and storms. These are going to be very isolated, though. Not nearly as widespread as what we saw yesterday, and in fact, we're actually trending on the drier side, so only see about a 10 to 20% chance of rain, with the peak heating during the afternoon hours. So the temperatures, they're going to be on the hot side, no doubt about it, well into the upper 80s for this afternoon. A high of 89 degrees, in fact, for the metro. And that's just going to be the first leg of this big warming trend we've got on the way for this weekend. So in terms of our rain chances today, one of the reasons why we're not going to see them quite as widespread will be because of this drier air that continues to filter in from our east. And that is going to help to kind of push these showers and nudge them further off to our south and west, which is why most of us are going to be staying dry and why any showers that do form will likely be staying south of the river and maybe even south of the metro. So something to keep in mind today. It's not going to be a washout. Don't be discouraged, but just keep in mind we could see a couple of those isolated downpours. But for this weekend, nice and dry. That dry air will continue to take shape. So it's not going to be incredibly humid. It'll still be a little steamy at times. I mean, we're talking low to mid 90s. That's going to feel hot regardless, but it's just not going to be kind of a July or August luxurious-like humidity feel we can see for this time of year. So 92 for Friday, tomorrow, 94 for Saturday, 91 for Sunday. Yeah, you're going to want to make sure you're staying hydrated this weekend. And also, we'll see lots of sunshine, too. So just make sure you're wearing the sunscreen, limiting your time you spend outside, especially if you're doing any sort of intensive labor, strenuous work. Give yourself plenty of breaks. And again, I can't stress enough, drink lots of water. Let's go ahead and bring you outside now. Here's a beautiful view from our new Albany SkyTrack camera. Blue skies overhead, only a couple of thin upper level clouds. It is beautiful outside right now. Yes, it's on the warm side, but I mean, it's technically the first official day of summer. And whenever we see our first 90-degree day of the season, our earliest ever was actually in 2011. That was a while ago, April 10th of 2011 to be more exact, where our average first 90-degree day actually takes place right around May 31st. So ours this year, as of right now, the forecast will take place on the 2nd, so tomorrow, but pretty much right on par, right on schedule. Mother Nature paying attention to when the season's changing. So we're going to be expecting, though, a cooler temperature swing as we head into next week. So if you're not a fan of the 90s, we've got some better feeling temperatures on the way for next week. That will be coming with this cold front. It's going to try its best to make its way into the Ohio Valley, into wave country, and it will try to bring a couple of showers along with it, which we are pretty dry. We could use some of the rain, especially after this upcoming weekend, but that will bring temperatures closer to the mid-80s, at least for a couple of days. I'll talk more, though, on just how long this cool stretch will last, and also when we'll expect another round of some potential showers and storms. That's all coming up in just a few minutes. Shannon?
Thank you. New on Sunrise, the CDC says the teen birth rate has fallen to a record low. This is according to new data just out this morning. Kathleen Ninke joining us with more on this.
Teen birth rate is down while the number of babies born to women in their 40s is up yet again. Teen birth rates fell 3% in 2022. So that's a record low, but it's a smaller decrease than in previous years. Since 2007, the teen birth rate has gone down about 8% a year. So researchers say this smaller decline in 2022 could mean the teen birth rate is as close to as low as it's going to go, which isn't necessarily a bad thing after these decades of progress. Researchers say access to contraception and access to sex education are what's brought the teen birth rate down nearly 80% since the early 90s. On the other end of the birthing age spectrum, births are up for women 35 to 39. There's a 2% increase we can see for 2022. For women 40 to 44, a 4% increase. And women 45 and older saw a 12% increase in births, though overall that number is still quite low. The overall U.S. birth rate declined less than 1%. The CDC researchers say that's negligible and not a cause for concern. Still plenty of babies being born in this country. Shannon.
Thanks, Kathleen. Data shows more than 1,000 Kentucky babies are born with neonatal opioid withdrawal syndrome, or NOWS, each year. That is why researchers with Norton Children's Hospital are looking at new ways to treat babies exposed to opioids in the womb. Norton Children's is one of 26 sites across the country studying the Eat, Sleep, Console Care approach. Clinicians assess the baby's withdrawal based on how well they can eat, sleep, and be calmed. This method prioritizes increased family presence, holding, swaddling, rocking to manage symptoms before turning to prescription opioid medications.
Things like skin-to-skin care, moms holding their babies, consoling their babies, being with their babies. That's our first line of treatment. It is no longer first-line pharmacologic therapy.
Norton Children's says this new approach can lead to shorter hospital stays for babies with NOWS. Findings show on average babies were discharged almost 7 days sooner and were 63% less likely to get drug therapy compared to newborns cared for using traditional methods. Members of the Kentucky Opioid Abatement Advisory Commission plan to explore new therapeutic treatment options for those who suffer from opioid addiction. One possible solution can be found in a West African plant. The chairman says when administered, it can reverse the brain to pre-opioid exposure levels. Kentucky overdose deaths were down 5% last year. A man from Nashville became a viral TikTok sensation for documenting his very unique diet journey. He vowed to eat nothing but McDonald's for 100 straight days. Okay, so how did he do? Well, he'll be on the Today Show with the results that might surprise you.
I'm Kathleen Ninke with This Wave News Alert on the big stories we're watching today. There's a hearing today in the proposed settlement for the victims in the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case. Those victims sued Deutsche Bank for allegedly enabling Epstein's crimes. And Deutsche Bank is set to settle the suit for $75 million. But first, today's judge has to decide if that settlement is fair. American Bank, JP Morgan Chase, is facing a similar lawsuit, but their CEO flatly denies any wrongdoing. Also a hearing today in the case of Andrew Lester. The 84-year-old right there has pleaded not guilty to assault charges for allegedly shooting teenager Ralph Yarl when Yarl mistakenly rang the doorbell at the wrong home in Kansas City. Lester admitted that he shot Yarl through the door without warning because he was, quote, scared to death that he was about to be robbed by the black person standing at his door. And we're following updates in Congress on the legislation to avoid a debt default. That's in the Senate's hands today. And here locally, we'll be bringing you the latest as LMPD looks for the person who pulled the trigger in a deadly early morning shooting in downtown Louisville. Shannon.
Thanks, Kathleen. Part of I-64 westbound in Louisville are about to close down for 2 weeks. KYTC will close 64 west between the Watterson Expressway and Story Avenue. It starts at 8 o'clock Friday night. The stretch of 64 is not scheduled to reopen until June 16th. Drivers on 64 westbound will be forced to take the Watterson either east or west. The ramp from Story Avenue to 64 westbound will stay open. Crews are working on an improvement project that includes replacing pavement inside the Cochran Hill Tunnel. Once the westbound lane reopens, 64 eastbound will close for similar repairs. If you can't wait for all the summer fun to start, you're in luck because the Germantown Schnitzelberg Blues Fest is going on this weekend. Starts Friday night, 7 p.m., and it will go through late Saturday night. It's right at the corner of Hickory Street and Burnett Avenue, right by Check's Cafe. Fun spot there. Admission is free, but proceeds will go to the Academy of Music Production, Education, and Development. And Dee's, they're shutting their doors after more than 50 years in business, but they're opening today, 10 o'clock, for their retirement sale. The store was a staple for derby hats and decor, all the supplies to make your own things. The owners say they're retiring so they can spend more time with family, travel, and they said maybe even enjoy some Derby Festival events. So that retirement sale kicks off this morning. They have not said how long it will go on, but you know that that place is going to be packed today, Jessica.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's one of my mom's favorite places and mine to get our stuff ready for Derby. So very sad to see them go. But if you have plans today, maybe you're going to be heading out shopping, trying to head to the pool. Today is going to be a great day for it. We're looking at hot temperatures, and this is really the first leg of this big warm-up we have on the way leading into the weekend. A 20% chance of a few of these isolated downpours. Definitely not a washout, though. A lot of us are going to be staying dry. In fact, we've been trending on the drier side for temperatures, or excuse me, for rain chances, and we kind of need the rain. But through this upcoming week, we're going to be looking at temperatures back into the mid-80s after the stretch of the mid-90s. So something to keep in mind as we head towards this weekend. And if you're not a fan of the 90s, we have some better news on the way for you towards next week with that cold front. But I do want to show this image, not the best image of downtown Louisville, where we do have that closure of the off-ramp. If you're heading towards Broadway, just give yourself some extra time.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Get live streaming news